because the package that Tinley Park had worked to put together based upon tax abatements from the other taxing bodies, some of those backed out, that lowered the purchase price considerably. Walmart wasn't going to take that hit. They wanted to take it off of the price of the land.
Okay. So, I mean, we're free to sell it to pretty much anyone. What if somebody came in and demanded tax abatement? We obviously don't have the ability or authority to do that, do we?
No, but that could also be part, then the last time we wrote the specs, that was part of the specs, that there would be no abatements, no tax abatements or incentives attached to this real estate deal. The first time, or I couldn't say the first time, the last time that the involvement, every taxing body was giving something back, and then when it came time for boards to vote on that, not all boards approved that, because, you know, a previous board might have said, sure, go ahead and move with it, but then when it came down to the vote, they weren't willing to knock off $250,000 over a 4-year period of revenue.
Did you think that reduced the pool of bidders greatly, putting that in there?
I think potentially, but I couldn't say, Chris, because I know that the structure of the first one was heavy on the givebacks from all the groups that were involved. When we went to bid, you know, Tinley was kind of the broker for the deal the last time around. When we went to bid, we didn't go out to municipalities and say, what are you willing, what are you willing? That just wasn't the process.
Does Tinley have an appraisal on this property?
They did back in 2013 was the last one that I'm aware of, and it was in the neighborhood of 5.2 to 5.3, and that was 2013. That they had an appraisal done.
Are these all unencumbered? There's no bond covenants or anything, indebtedness on any of these, so these could be gone, and the bonds won't have to be paid down, this will purely be cash?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they were not, it's my understanding, they were not paid with bond proceeds.
Okay. I guess the real question is, why not? Why wouldn't you go out?
Why wouldn't, I think it's time to get appraisals and see what we can get.
I ever put my
The
hand
market
on?
has seemed to,
Nope. Never.
you know, be doing a little bit better. You know, maybe there is a market for the Smith Road or possibly 191st and Harlem this time. Now, I do know that they plan on breaking ground on the corner. We don't own that whole corner of 191st and Harlem. So where people saw people doing drilling and testing, that someone else owns that corner, and they're planning to begin construction on that soon.
Is there an intergovernmental deal with Manhattan Park District on the small parcel in Manhattan?
There are, but they're all.
That can go away?
Yes, yes.
Has that ever been bid out?
So those can all go away.
The Smith Road?
No, the $5 million one in Manhattan.
Bid out, it's being farmed right now.
But you've never tried to sell it?
No.
That's 100 acres?
So we're talking about doing appraisals on all of them, or just the
Well-
191st?
I would think at least Smith Road and 191st, it would be up to the group. The Western Manhattan, you know, the $5 million price tag, I guess it wouldn't hurt to get appraisals on all of them, because if we're willing to take a loss just to move it, we can do so.
We should know what it's worth, I
should know what
think,
it's worth.
with an independent.
Are there any incidental carrying costs of these? I mean, are we maintaining them, anything?
No, that's the
grass?
one thing with the 3 larger lots, they're being farmed.
So there is,
And they're
the release,
being-
there's actual income being.
There's,
right
yes,
now.
there's a little income,
Right,
not
yeah.
much, but we don't have to go out and chop down weeds or maintain it, it's taken care of.
We don't have to vote on this, but is that the
No.
consensus of this committee? Just
Get appraisals
kind
on
of
all
see
of
a
it.
eye that,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
that we're in agreement that all of these should have an appraisal.
For appraisal.
All or
All.
just
We can even do the subdivisions, because that's not gonna cost much to do, because those are small, I mean, the properties are small.
I guess the question I'll put is, a show of hands, how many people think that we should go to bid on all of these properties?
Appraisal.
Appraisals, sorry, appraisals. Okay.
We will bring that to the board.
Okay, next item, Skyward transition.
Dr. Mercer.
Good evening. So Dr. Tingley asked me if I would give a little bit of history on where we've been with regards to our Skyward transition on the financial side. So I'll start there. We started this process back in August of 2015, meeting with a programmer who came on site and worked with us to learn about what we currently did with our RayElco system. That's our current system. She solicited a bunch of feedback. We worked with our entire team, bookkeepers, payroll, personnel, and administration to figure out how the system that we're currently using will be able to be brought over into the new Skyward system. We continued having a lot of conversation back and forth on pieces here, pieces there. We've worked with a school district that, well, through our RayElco vendor, their other last public school district that was utilizing RayElco for the financial system is up in Sheboygan, Wisconsin, and they just recently finished their transition from RayElco to Skyward. So we've been in communication with them on what kind of extracts and which kind of data and what the format was, and getting the information out of RayElco and bringing it into Skyward. So we worked very closely with them to get this information over. Beginning in December, we started meeting on a more regular basis with our programmer to set up our system of what we are going to be doing in the Skyward world. And through that, it's a matter of looking at our data, and they take our data, take our screenshots of our current information, and then they bring that over and put it into the Skyward world. We've done that, and we do monthly checks, weekly checks of our information to make sure that it translates over from RayElco into the world of Skyward. We're now at the point where we're meeting 2 to 3 times a week with our programmer, and we have been for probably the last month and a half, 2 months, just via WebEx or just a conference call. They're going very well. Our programmer and our project manager are very confident that this transition is going to go, and we are on track to open as planned come July 1. So where does that bring us today? What are we doing right now? Beginning Thursday at noon, we're doing a final pass number 1 of all of our data that is in our RayElco system and transferring it over into the Skyward system. So what does that mean? That means everything that we have in relation to payroll, finance, and personnel is being brought over for a final input into the Skyward system. At that point in time, those 3 departments will start tracking the changes that they make in RayElco. We'll continue to make changes as necessary so we can continue to operate on a daily basis. And they'll continue to make those changes as we continue moving forward until the next pass of data is completely uploaded into the system, which is June 13th. And then beginning on June 14th is when Skyward is on site for a month straight, working with our finance, our payroll, and our HR department to make sure that we understand exactly how the new system operates. And learning the ins and outs and making sure that while we're able to address everything that we need to address in fiscal 16, we need to be able to close our books in fiscal 16 and open up fiscal 17 in the world of Skyward. So a lot of things have been occurring throughout this time. We've been working with our account numbers. We've been changing account numbers, making sure they line up appropriately with what we want to put in place. Some of the things that are out there, I've heard through conversations that you've had here today about some things that we want to make sure we're tracking. We want to track music department at East, or band or math department at Central, and those kinds of things, getting down to the nitty-gritty. All of those things, we've been working with the programmer and through a lot of our black box information to create fields in Skyward that will allow us to extract that information when we want it. So if we're looking for it on a monthly basis, we'll be able to get it on a monthly basis. If we're looking for an annual basis, we'll be able to get it on an annual basis. These reports are also canned reports, and they have hundreds of canned reports that are available to us. Now, if there's something that we decide that we want to have that's different from any other canned reports that they have out there, That's why we are having Skyward representatives on site for, well, an entire month to work with us and generate any reports that we need to. So we're gonna go through that whole process, and that'll start on June 13th and take us through July 14th. And in that process, we'll be running all of the summer payrolls that Mr. Linger was talking about earlier, making sure that they get appropriately accounted for in fiscal 16 and all that other, all the other expenses are recorded appropriately in the proper fiscal year. So we're gonna continue working through all those procedures. And then we start with, we have a week off, actually, June 18th through the 22nd, so the bookkeepers can take a breath and make sure that they collect all their thoughts and everything that we've got going on. And then Skyward comes back on site, helping us remember what we just learned, working us through the next payroll by sitting back and watching us do it, by sitting back and watching us do our regular bookkeeping, and then they'll answer just any miscellaneous questions that they have. There's 4 dates, the 25th of July, then August 9th and 10th, and then the 20th through the 24th will be back on site, assisting us more in depth as we continue. We've got a full month of Skyward information underneath our belts. So our team of bookkeepers and payroll and HR and administration have been working very diligently to get all this information as accurately as we possibly can. We continue to update our black box, which is kind of like our sandbox of data of where we're going and what we want to put into place for fiscal 17. We've been working with our programmer, getting that up to date. We have weekly check-ins on that as well. So things are going very smooth. We continue to work with account numbers, making sure that we have appropriate account numbers, which we do have in place. Now we just want to make sure that everything is lined up appropriately. So it's a double check, a triple check, it's a quadruple check of the information, making sure that it's accurate so that we can generate the reports that people are asking for.
Brian, does Skyward also do the student data management?
Yes, we are, this is
You
our
already started
first
that?
year in student data management with Skyward. That transition took place beginning in December of 14. Yeah, December 14. So we went live kind of in January with registration, but truly went live August 1st of 15.
How many years of data are in the old system that are being transferred over? What is the time frame there?
So right now, we're just transferring over the current fiscal year. So fiscal 16 is what's being brought into the new system.
Okay.
We will have access to all of the information that is currently housed in the Realco system for as long as we need it.
Is that system, the Realco system, I believe you said, are those servers and is all that equipment here in the district?
It is.
It's a kind of
It is
amazing
housed
thing.
on site.
And we're only transferring the current fiscal year.
Yeah, it's.
So that's one thing to be aware of when we want those comparative reports at a snap. It's still a manual process to get those prior years. I think I heard you said are we running the systems concurrently, or I think what you said is that we're doing test conversions?
Correct.
And it'll all go, there's no concurrent running of the systems?
Not necessarily. We will be running concurrent payrolls for all of the summer runs to verify that the information is accurate.
Okay.
And then once we verify on that payroll that it's accurate, we'll be able to continue to process the remaining payrolls in July in the new system.
Who in the district is testing? So I know you said Skyward's gonna be on scene here, and they're gonna be helping us learn the system and whatnot. Do we have anybody going in there, making bogus entries? I don't wanna say bogus, assuming you're in a test system, but, you know, fake entries, just playing around in there, getting familiar, trying to break it, basically. Is
So
anybody?
we've not gone in to try and break the system. We've gone in, we've learned about the system working with fictitious data that we've gone through on a training database, and we've played with it, we've been able to work with it, do simulated payrolls, you know, through the guidance of Skyward. That's part of the reason that they're coming on site. We finished a training 3 days in May 10th, 11th, and 12th, where we went through payroll, we went through finance, and we went through HR on those 3 days and working through the system. So when you say trying to break the system,
Yeah.
I understand what you're talking about. However, I think that our priority is making sure that we're doing what we're doing accurately. I think the support that is provided by Skyward is some support that has beaten out just about every other company that I've dealt with, and not just in data management, but any other support company that I've had to work with. They have an online chat session. If I need to get somebody online, I can go into an online chat immediately. If they can't answer it, they get a phone call, and I have a phone call back to my office within half an hour, 45 minutes, to be able to address the issues that I have in place. The system that I'm currently dealing with, unfortunately, they have two employees in the current Realco system, both of which are ready to retire, and so it's very difficult to get in touch with them. It's one of the reasons we switched from the Realco system into the Skyward system.
So, I mean, that right there might be a problem with accessing the data from our old system in
One of the things that
5
we're going to
years.
be doing to help address the information that's in our current system is we've been working with Realco to find a way to put it into a web-based format that would allow us a little bit more freedom in being able to get the information out that we need to. So it's not going to be a hunt and peck. I have to press A, then I have to press C, then I have to press D in order to get the information. It will be more intuitive, very similar to a web-based module, so to speak, except it won't be on the web.
Yeah.
So we're going to be working with them to put that in place for our historical information.
Mobius is a system that I have used to
Mhm.
do that. As far as controls, I mean, it sounds like Skyward is setting the system up for us. Are we relying on them to set the controls? An example would be, just the flow. When a new employee is added into the payroll system, who can do that, and when does that get pushed over to payroll? Are we relying on Skyward to set those rules up, or do we
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Absolutely not. We'll be working with our administration to make sure that the proper controls are put in place. So if we want a path to go from our personnel department and then to our insurance and then finally to payroll, if that's the path that we choose when we have a new employee within the district, then we put the system in place, we adjust it, we have full control of how we want to set the path, so to speak. And that's the same thing that we can do with our purchase orders. Currently we deal on a direct purchase order type system. In Skyward, they recommend, which I think we're going to adopt, is a requisition type of a system where whoever wants to purchase something, they have to requisition it. It has to go through step 1 of approval. At that point in time, it gets turned into a purchase order. Then the purchase order gets approved. Now they have a purchase order. They can go back to the vendor and purchase the product.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is that they
So that approval, is that an actual workflow? So like, somebody puts a requisition in, an email is generated that automatically pushes it to the person that needs to approve it. That person gets the email link to the spot in the system where they can go and approve it. The requisition is automatically pushed to the purchasing department or whoever the next person is. And
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Good, good.
And from a security standpoint, you're wondering if somebody's playing with the system, doing something, it logs every change to the system. So if you found something like, why did somebody's contractual pay change, the user who made the change, and what time it was done, when it was done, every change in the system is logged,
Yeah.
and you could see that. I don't think that's available currently, I don't know.
Not in our current
Yeah.
It's
system.
not current system, so
No, I'm
that's
sure.
that's a great feature.
So that's kind of what I think you're getting at, is trying to break the system. Is somebody actually, are you going to get to a point where somebody's going to be testing that breach of controls, so that we know that the way that you've set up your security, your controls on who's gonna get that email for that purchase order, who's going to get that email to set up this new employee at $500 an hour versus $50 an hour? Are you guys gonna be at some point doing that kind of testing to see who can get through those security walls? Or for the good, the people that are supposed to get through it, and then the people that are not?
Right, so absolutely, and I understand your concern with regards to security. Knowing that if the system's gonna send an email to you, you don't get to just automatically approve that email. You still have to log into the system with your login and password information in order to get in, right? And then at that point in time, you still have to be able to go into the proper port spot and approve the PO or the requisition,
Right.
however necessary. Part of our system will be based on-site. You will only be able to access the financial approval, financial, like, actually pushing of the money through a terminal on the system in the district. So we only are going to install it on the computers that need it. Everything else is web-based. A lot of the web-based things is inquiry only. So many of the changes have to be done within the PACT client is what we're using. So if they don't have the software, they can't.
And the rights are really robust as far as if, all you do is do a purchase order and check on accounts, that's the only thing you're gonna see. You're not gonna see the whole system. You're gonna see a small segment of the system that it's based upon. And it's pretty robust, pretty modern as far as who can do what, and who has rights to what,
Right.
and what they can see and what they can't see.
Because I mean, as we go forward and we look at those internal control audits, I mean, the system internal controls are gonna be obviously a huge part of it. So yeah, I think what you do now to make sure, it sounds like we're on the right track.
Who gets requests for additional security, and who approves requests for additional security? If, I'm Scott and I'm trying to do something in Skyward and all of a sudden I can't, how would Scott get the ability to do that? Who does he have to go through? Is there somebody that would give that permission? and would-
Right now, it's me.
Okay. So somebody's looking at this, somebody's
Oh, absolutely.
actually saying, gee, Scott, I don't think you need the ability to change pay rates, you're not getting it, right?
Yes, yes. As a matter of fact, to give you an example, our student information system is done the same way. All the security approvals need to go through myself or my assistant, Cheryl Kay. And our principals have asked on a number of times for many levels of security, which I've turned down quite regularly, and I know they love me for it. So, we'll continue to do that. I mean, it's just a matter of making sure we have proper things in place. Absolutely.
Documented, right? So that-
Absolutely.
Okay.
I have a hunch, if it's like the systems I'm used to dealing with, something you might not be used to, you're now going to get into a cycle of constant update.